Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and Gattaca is far better than you remember. I say that to those of you that have seen the movie. However, if you've clicked on this video, there's a high chance that you probably have never seen this movie. And that's fine. When it initially was released, nobody saw it. This was a genuine money loser, unfortunately. However, in the many years since, from who I've spoken to about this film, it has been highly regarded, and it is personally one of my favorite movies, and it is an ultimate example of great movies that nobody talks about. And so today, I'm going to talk about this in a spoiler-free way, because I would like you all to go see this movie for yourself. Gattaca was released in 1997. It was written and directed by Andrew Niccol, who would, after this, write the screenplay for The Truman Show, and would go on to write and direct Lord of War, starring Nicolas Cage, among other things. It starred Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, Jude Law, Ernest Borgnine, Alan Arkin, and Xander Berkeley, among others. And it tells the story of Vincent Friedman, played by Hawke. He lives in a world in which he is considered an invalid. He was born of natural birth. However, due to a litany of genetic conditions, he is the victim of much genetic discrimination. In the future, that as presented in the movie, the world has gone through a period of rapid eugenics. Basically, if you would like to have a kid, you have the option to go to your doctor and basically order your kid like you were ordering McDonald's. Specific genes, hair color, eye color, stuff like that. Things to stay away from. If you can swing it, then you can do it. Vincent is an invalid, while his brother Anton is a valid. Anton goes on to great success as a policeman, while Vincent takes on very menial jobs. And, well, they make it clear early in the movie that his life expectancy is 30.2 years. So not only is Vincent guaranteed to die young, but have pretty much nothing to his name by the end, which is just a tragedy. However, Vincent is driven and determined to achieve his goal of going into space, but of course, his deficiencies limit him. However, through a third party, he meets a valid man and a genetically superior athlete named Jerome, played by Jude Law, who has been paralyzed due to a car accident. Even though his legs don't work, his blood, urine, and other things are still purer than pure, so they make a deal. Basically, Vincent pays the rent, while Vincent gets to take on Jerome's entire likeness, including hair, eyes. Using this, Vincent gets hired on at Gattaca Aerospace and will be leaving for Titan, Saturn's ninth moon, in a week. However, there's a flight director that gets brutally murdered, and, well, Jerome, or I guess I should say Vincent, is the main culprit. I remember watching this movie for the first time like it was yesterday. It was in my 7th grade science class. We had just gotten done learning about genetics, specifically all the things that make up genetics: guanine, adenine, thymine, cytosine, and etc. And to close out the unit, we ended up watching Gattaca, because it is a movie in which genetics is literally at the heart of it. So much so that in Vincent and Jerome's home, there is a spiral staircase that is fitted like the helix of DNA. Also with the theme of genetic discrimination and the like, though I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Ever since I watched that movie for the first time, it's never truly left my mind. It's one, like I said, it's one of those great movies that nobody talks about, sadly. And hopefully this review gives you the impetus to go watch it for yourself, because I am not doing it justice in saying that this movie is phenomenal. Firstly, I want to talk about the visuals, because the visuals in this movie are just fantastic. The main Gattaca building is just so rich and has so much culture in it of itself. The building is as much a character as the characters in this movie. The building in my research was actually designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, which makes all the sense in the world to me. Also, the general aesthetic of this movie is just a sight to behold. It's a mixture of, like, 1960s crossed with the future. You see these cars that are electric and are futuristic, but they're designed like Cadillacs or Oldsmobiles. And everybody dresses in suits and is very prim and proper, kind of like the early 60s in a sense. But now I want to talk about the characters in this movie, starting with Vincent and Jerome. Vincent is played by Ethan Hawke, like I said, and I have not seen the Before trilogy, and I will one day. However, I believe that this is Ethan Hawke's best performance, or at least in, like, the top 3, because he is excellent here. Vincent himself is just a truly sympathetic person because, well, he starts out and automatically, like seconds after he's born, he's basically given a death sentence. At 30, he's pretty much dead, and so his parents curtail his expectations. He wants to go to space, but they're like, just be realistic, son. And it's like, they could have told him, but I don't think the movie ever addresses whether they tell him or not. He just knows that he's not going to go far in life. But through just sheer force of will, he gets to the point where he meets Jerome Morrow and can get that extra boost needed to get him into space. Not to say that Vincent just lucks into this, because he genuinely tries. The movie does a great job of visually showing that Vincent explores every avenue possible, lying on his resume and just doing shady things, but things necessary in order to get where he needs to go. However, it's all down to genetics in this movie, and he cannot escape the various diseases that he encounters. It's like, there's a scene in the movie where he becomes a janitor at Gattaca, and he's cleaning the glass, and as he's cleaning this glass, he sees the rocket going up into space, and a bit of narration saying, I never knew how far I was from my goal than when I was standing right next to it. Sad stuff. But despite overwhelming odds against him, Vincent basically just says, never tell me the odds, and he presses on anyway. And I guess it's as good a place as any to talk about Jude Law, because I love Jude Law in many other movies, including the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes films off the top of my head, but he is great here as well. His character is that of someone who is genetically superior, who is practically perfect in every way. However, he is caught in a situation where he's paralyzed. He can't walk. And I don't think this is a spoiler, but his character in the movie won a silver medal in, let's just call it the Olympics, because I don't think the movie could get the rights to use the Olympics name, so let's just go with the Olympics. And he ended up winning a silver medal. And he makes it clear to Vincent that he has everything going his way, and he still comes up second best. And it's also implied that at a certain point he just got tired of being perfect or depressed or something like that, and so pretty much caused the car accident that ended up getting him paralyzed. Again, the movie doesn't go either way, and there it is implied. Also, I didn't have any other place to put it in the review, so I'll just put it here. Jude Law has one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and definitely the funniest, when he's getting pricked by a cop because they're looking for Vincent, who is supposedly the murderer. The cop is played by Dean Norris of Breaking Bad fame, and he looks at the blood test reader and he's like, "You're a navigator at Gattaca?" And Jerome is like, "Yes, I am." And then he's like, "You're crippled." And Jerome is like, "I hurt myself training, you moron!" And Jerome just goes to town on this detective. He's like, "What's your number? What's your number? I will have you paroled." And then the cop's like, sorry, I gotta go. And Jerome's like, "I'm gonna get off of the stinking rock even if it kills me. What's your number?" It's just It's so funny watching this guy in a wheelchair, and a very British guy, I might add, yelling at Hank from Breaking Bad. It's funny to me, at least. But not only are Ethan Hawke and Jude Law great, but you also have Uma Thurman, who's great. Ernest Borgnine is great in pretty much anything that he's in. Alan Arkin is actually kind of a villain in this. As much of a villain, even more than Anton, and I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But there is a heavy theme of genetic discrimination throughout, and it's like a more extreme form of racism. It's not even about the color of your skin, it's about your genetics. If you are an invalid, you're pretty much next to dirt. There's a pretty disturbing scene in which Arkin, when looking for Vincent, basically gathers up a bunch of invalids and is like interrogating them on the street. No Miranda rights or anything. And even Anton, who is a valid, is like, you're doing it all wrong, you're doing it wrong. The guy is clearly a Gattaca somewhere. Again, there's heavy implication that Alan Arkin's character is a geneticist. I guess that's racist against genes, or he's against certain genes, I guess. And then I guess it's as good a place as any to go into Anton, because throughout the entire movie there is a through line between Vincent and Anton. Vincent was always viewed as inferior to Anton. As a matter of fact, in one of the early scenes, when Vincent is born, he was supposed to be named Anton. However, his father's like, no, Vincent Anton. That's a good name. And then their child, the one that got all the good stuff, was named Anton. So from the very beginning, there was an adversarial relationship going on. And Anton got everything his way, and Vincent was always shoved into the corner. That happened until they were both into their late teens, when they decided to play their regular game of chicken. The movie has an added layer to the through line, where throughout, basically Vincent and Anton played a game of chicken together. They would swim out as far as they can until one brother said, "I can't go any further, you have to help me." Seemingly 99 times out of 100, Anton would clearly win because of Vincent's deficiencies. However, in this one time when they were both teenagers, Vincent won. Soon afterwards, he would leave home to try and find his own way. It's a great scene, it really is. Cut to a later scene where everything has happened in the movie. Again, no spoilers. But everything has happened in the movie, and Vincent and Anton play one final game of chicken together, and it's so well done, and it just all pans out incredibly well. And honestly, I could talk about this movie for days and days and days. This is a movie that is just so loaded that you could do essays on it. Essays, plural. And I'm not even touching on half of the through lines throughout the movie. Ernest Borgnine stuff, more stuff about Alan Arkin and his geneticist tendencies. Again, I need to come up with a name for that. Uma Thurman worried about her flaws, even though by all accounts she is absolutely perfect, and Vincent and her relationship and the struggles there. Despite having everything handed to him, still needing to prove something to Vincent. Jerome, despite him being perfect, is still confined to a wheelchair, and there's several themes about fate in there somewhere. I think the core of this movie, the message, is that no matter how much we tinker and try and play God, there is always an it factor that we can't control. And when that it factor comes, it trumps all the genetics that you can do every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I am so sad that this movie never did any better than it did. I think now it's gotten a much better reputation, but back in '97 when it was released, man, it was not pretty. I run a podcast with Rachel over at Rachel's Reviews called the Hidden Gems Podcast, and Gattaca is probably one of the biggest hidden gems of all. If you have not seen this movie, I can't recommend it enough. But that is all for me. Thank you so much as always for watching. Next Sunday on the channel, I'll be dropping my first reaction to the Studio Ghibli film, Ponyo. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam. I'll see you in the next one.